Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time I'm doing my first Christmas review. And this one is on Itchy and Scratchy Comics, issue number 1. Now, as you know, this is like a Christmas themed comic. Now, I paid £5 for it when I was in London. And yeah, so basically Itchy and Scratchy got a comic book series. The cover has Scratchy being tied up with dynamite and bowling ball bombs. Well, Itchy is ready to enlight them. So let's get on the review. It starts off how, in an Ebenezer Scrooge-like story, the Ghost of Christmas Future shows Itchy what will happen to him. So, he ends up getting his face ripped off by Itchy and falls into a death trap, but wakes up and realises that he wants to change his ways. Well, Scratchy, on the other hand, is living in a cold shack, and Itchy's living the easy life, and has his butler to invite him over. So Scratchy sees that it's December the 25th, and ends up getting thrown by a snowball, and even gets a letter from Itchy saying, "Please come to my annual holiday Christmas ball." So he thinks that he's just doing this to see him beaten, throws the letter in, and then ends up seeing that his whole house is Christmas tree being burnt to the ground. So he has a plan to get back at him, and dresses up as a poorly done Santa Claus. And even gets bombs and that, and tries to plant them in. Well, a guard dog with a dog is guarding the house. Yeah, you question how a dog and a guard dog can exist in the same universe. It's like having Goofy and Pluto, the same thing. So he points out, is saying, private property, invitation only. So he decides to head in, but ends up getting shot by the electric fence. Ends up flying into a tree. Ends up falling down, where some kids think he's stood off the red-nosed reindeer, and ends up getting hit by the sled. Yeah, you notice this whole comic has no lines, and so I'm basically just telling you what's happening. So he sees that there's no Scratchy, so the guard dog realises his mistake, and tries to get him. Well, Scratchy mistakes him for trying to get him, ends up frozen, and ends up bashing into a wall. So he tries to fix himself together, but ends up getting covered by snow. So this is about the car of the turkey. One of the residents says he's frozen, so ends up basically rotting the Christmas tree, and Scratchy ends up burnt to death and drops the presents. So they head off to basically a church, and Scratchy plans to get a dynamite, but ends up getting his arms and legs cut. And Itchy's asking where's Scratchy, and he says he has no idea. So just as Scratchy's about to dump hot oil on them, he ends up ringing the bell and calling Scratchy to fall down. It's like, "Look everybody! Teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings." So, just as Scratch tries to stop the angel from leaving, he ends up falling down, tries to rescue himself from being bombed to death, and ends up getting impaled by an ice rod, and leaves quickly. Just as he thinks he's about to win, he sees that his bombs and that are still there, and he's like, "Mother!" and ends up being blown right across to the North Pole, where you have a dog version of Mrs. Claus. So instead of helping Scratchy out, or I don't know, saving him, she basically whacks him around the head with a newspaper article. And by the end, the New Year Revolution puts out, "Torment Scratchy all year for missing the Christmas party." Hints he planned to do this to make him miserable. So yeah, this is the story. Now, the comic basically has no lines, only one or two lines, and it feels like it's a waste of potential because they could have added in some lines, but I get it. Itchy and Scratchy are cartoon characters. They're not supposed to talk. But I find it a bit of a waste and a bit of a wasted time. I can't believe I paid £5 for this. So in general, thumbs down. There was a lot of potential to do something with this comic, but it feels a bit of a waste. So, comic reviewer here, signing out.